Good morning. I will be showing you how to build a transport ticket in GoodShuffle. I begin by opening up a new browser and going into GoodShuffle. I search for the project transport. The previous one was on 517. I will then go to these three little dots here where it says more and duplicate the project. I will change the name to the next date, which in this case would be 5/31/2023. I change the dates here. Change the date. And you duplicate the project. I go in and delete any previous notes pertaining to the transport. So I will come into this DFW to ATX items orders, which are items that were needed for orders on 517. So this now becomes ATX to DFW returns. And I update. My DFW to ATX items returns were items that returned on the 17th, so this has gone back now. I simply delete these items and I rename to orders to start out with a clean slate. The ATX to DFW orders are items that came up to DFW. They are now going to be returned, so this gets renamed to DFW to ATX. Returns. Okay. These items were returned to DFW last time, so I just changed this to ATX to DFW orders. I update and I delete the items under the line item. Then I just shuffle everything around. This goes there, and this goes there. And I do this to save me time without having to start a brand new ticket and enter all these items. Now it's time to populate. In order to get my information for items that need to be transported, I refer to the Google Calendar, where all the orders that require a transport are listed on for the specific date. So in this case, it is May 31st. I begin the transport for looking for items for orders that are DFW to ATX carry out. These are orders that are requiring items from DFW to be transported to ATX for order. So we begin here. In this case, we do not have the links provided in this order. So I open up a new tab and go to GoodShuffle and projects, and I am looking for 6323 Blair. here is our order. This order does show that it has unsigned changes. So in this case, we have removals, none that pertain to DFW. It seems like all these are ATX items that need to be removed. I will still go ahead and click this show unsigned changes and fulfillment. And the reason for that is when I want to see this pull ticket, I want to see some of these changes. So we click on pull sheet, line item group, print, and it gives us the PDF. I always go back and make sure I click that view here, just so everything remains the same on the order. Here I've scanned the order for items, for DFW items that are needed for this ATX order. I like to go Command F for find, and I put DFW, search that, and I scan. In this case, we are needing, our first item is an Ambra dining table. I then go back to my transport ticket and look Ambra into Ambra dining table black. And we're looking for the DFW version so we can track that that is going down to Austin, and we go add. Keep going to my orders. Our next item is an Ambra dining table natural. Back to our ticket, Ambra dining table natural. Here's our DFW version, and we click add. Keep scanning our order. Our next item is a Sunny Bistro table. Sunny DFW, we're adding 1. Back to our order. Muse chairs 2. Click 2, add. Five peacock chairs. Peacock chair rope cushions. Here they are, and we are needing 2. Ezra chairs 2. Be sure you are adding, like I mentioned earlier, be sure you're adding the location it's going from. We do have here, in this case, we have our web version, which is listed on the website. You do not add those because it would not track that the DFW ones are down there. So we want to make sure we are adding the correct location that it's going from and where it's going to. So in this case, DFW to ATX. Cosa block. And we will continue to scan the order. So it's right here. We're just adding all the items on this order. So Dolly side table. Tulip coffee table. 2. Mini hive pendants. Small hive pendant 1. pendant 2. Extra large 3. Leona rug and 2 6-foot round jute rugs. One burn 8x10. And that's it for this order. So we will repeat this for the rest of the orders we have. In this case, I am done with this one. I exit out. And all items have been added. So we come back to the calendar and look for our next order. You just have to be careful when you're doing this to make sure that you are reading it right. I'd like to look at this CAR for carryout, but sometimes I do have to open it and just make sure. So our next one for DFW to ATX, we are going down the order. We have this one right here, which is 610. So here, as you can see, as opposed to our other order, did not have the link. So here, I'd simply just click on line item group, and it takes me directly to the order. Again, we will hit Command F for find. DFW is our term we are searching, and in this case, we are doing 1 Ambra DFW bar. So go back, Ambra DFW, and we add 1. And go keep scanning just to be safe. And that is it for this order. It's 1 item. Exit out and go back to our calendar, scan for our next one. So that was this one right here. That's a return. Here's another order. So it's a DFW ATX transport. Line item group. So this is a good example. So it seems like our sales associate here mislabeled the transport on this order. So this transport should actually be ATX to DFW carryout and DFW to ATX return. This is an order for DFW, so mislabeled wrong. So when you're building these transports, just be sure to scan your order and make sure it makes sense. So in this case, we are needing items from Austin for DFW. So I'll need to bring this up to our sales associate, and let them know to correct this on here so there's no mistakes. So this one doesn't count, but it's always good just to open it up and make sure that everything looks good on your order. So that's a carryout. So this is an ATX to DFW. So as we look at this calendar, I'd also like to let you know about these colors. So green means the order has been signed for and confirmed and paid. Red there means there is changes on the order and the contract needs to be re-signed. Blue is in quotes sent. Cutoff for the transport is the Thursday before the actual day of the transport. So in this case, the transport's on May 31st. Our cutoff date was Thursday the 25th at the end of the day for orders to be confirmed and paid for. These will not make the transport. So Do not need to worry about those. I will now jump to DFW to ATX returns. So the good thing here is that our items are already populated. So most of this is just a double check. So we go back to our calendar. We are looking for DFW to ATX return. So here's one of them. We go to our line item group. In this instance, we are looking, these are items going back to ATX. So we are looking for ATX lines. We go again, do our Command F for find. Our term will now be ATX, and we search. And this item actually doesn't, this order actually doesn't have anything. So at one point, this means that at one point there probably was a transport needed. There was changes to the order, and maybe those items were removed. So this one does not count. So we go to our next one of 519 Poland. We go down to our links, line item group, Command F, ATX. All right, so here we go. We have 2 Acapulco pub tables. So we go to our transport ticket, and they are here. So I do a check just to make sure. And then our next item will be 2 parallel chairs. Go back, right there. And that's it for this. So this order just had 2 items that needed transport. And again, if I wouldn't have made the swap when I started this transport ticket, I would have had to just add every single item back to it. So it's been a way to save me some time. Of course, there's always going to be some items that need to be removed or need to be added. So you just have to be careful and pay attention to when you are populating the ticket. So that's for that one. We go back to our calendar. We just did 519 Poland. Our next order is 518 23 Moreau. Scroll down for our link. Command F. And we scan. So we have 4 Sebastian pub tables from ATX. Here's our 4. We are doing gunmetal Tolex chairs, 35. Right there. Blythe bar. Right here. That's it for this order. Sebastian pub, gunmetal Tolex, and our Blythe bar for 3 items. We move on to our next order. We have 520, 23 Moreau. Command F, and we start the search. So our first item here is our Mason pub tables. 4 right there. Chilean stools, 7. 7 Chilean stools. Ollie Bentwood dining chairs, 55. right here. So yes, our quantity here is 65. I had to make an adjustment and bring more than needed, just to be safe. I think we have a few short here in DFW, so I accounted for that. And so just remember, either make a note. I also keep a written log of the transport, so I make notes there, and I will also put notes in the notes box off to the left hand side. So just make note if you bring more or less of an item, so you remember, and don't forget when you're building your Cricut. So we'll keep going. We have our tiered wooden display right here, and a Ziggy shelf. Okay. Which I made a note that it was not needed because we had one here, so that's not on this ticket. And that is it. So 4 items. We go back to our calendar, and we have 527 Borough Hotel Drover. So Command F for search. We have a Darla sofa. Darla. Jolene chairs. Right here. And Padma side tables. 2 right there. And that looks to be it. So 3 items. And you can see here on the transport like what's being left. So this is a way to just like double check myself that I am adding everything that needs to be added. We go to our next order, which is 527 Salazar. Oh, got ahead of myself. We have our Dylan table. Got too many open. Oh, that was it. Wrong one. So back to this. Command F. Dylan table. And the Dylan table is right there. And that is it for that order. Back to our calendar. Salazar. So it looks to be that I'm missing return. I'm missing some items. And I just closed out my transport ticket, so gotta go back and search it. 5/31/23 is her date. So I had clicked on, I had everything except so a way to find out where this order is or what order these pertain to, since I'm not seeing it on the calendar. Let me see. Did I miss one? So what I can do is I can click on this item and look at its usage. and go down for upcoming projects. So this was for 531, the modern. So the reason, so here we have them, the chairs, and then a Geneva lamp. So this order required the transport on 517 due to the order happening on 531, which is the day of the transport. The items would not be back to our warehouse on 531. So our sales associate here then adds the date for the next transport, which in this case is June 14th. So these orders do not need to go back. So I simply go back to my transport ticket and I click all of these, and these two items get removed because they do not need to go back to ATX on this go round. Then that's it. This section of DFW to ATX has been completed. So at first I did all my orders, they've been added, and then I did my returns, and those have been accounted for. It's the same process for ATX to DFW, so I always like to start out with the transport. So I look for my ATX to DFW carry out, and same process, click on my line item group. In this case, we're going to do Command F, and we are looking for ATX items because they are coming up from ATX to DFW. So Darla sofa is coming up. So in this case, I have the Darla sofa going back to ATX. What happens here is I remove it from my returns, since it does not need to go back. I then add notes. Here we are going to do, I like to do an asterisk because I put an asterisk on my paper log too. So, and I add the name of the order. So I go 6/3/23 Copal, and I add a note, Darla sofa already in DFW. So if anybody questions like, hey, I don't see the Darla sofa for my order, I can refer back to this note and say it's already here in DFW. So one, I do not need to add it to the items coming up, so I don't need to add it to the orders part, and I also removed it from my returns, so it stays here. So just keep an eye on things like this. Make sure you make the correct adjustments just to reflect what you're needing in each location. We'll keep going. So Romina coffee table, we will add. Make sure you are adding it to the right line item group too. We do 1. Got too many tabs open, and then let's go to our next one. 71 Oslo chairs. We are adding the ATX ones because they are coming up. Add. And that's it. So for this order, Darla sofa, which is already here, so no need to add. Romina coffee table and 71 Oslo chairs. And this is how you do the transfer. You just keep going order to order. You add, you do your returns for the ATX side too, and you double check that everything's on there. If you have to, sometimes you have to add items, sometimes you have to remove. If there is any other questions regarding this process, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.